Welcome back to another episode of Peep the Game, Finesse Accordingly. Once again, that's Peep the Game, Finesse Accordingly. I'm your host, the one and only, Def Finesse, a TDF Apex Predator. If you're new here, this channel is designed to encourage the young, so-called black man to develop the mentality of a tiger.
Nigga, what?
Tiger! Tiger! Huh?
Obviously, not by literally pretending to be an actual full-grown tiger and leaping up and taking a chunk out of someone's ass, but rather by mastering your primary God-given gift, or as I call it, your TDF instinct. And also by finally reconnecting to your very own inner apex predator, aka your inner AP. That version of you inside of you that truly believes that you are destined for greatness.
In this society, on this earth, in this day,
And is perpetually frustrated with the fake ass environments and situations you constantly find yourself in as a so-called black man. You know, all the different situations that make you say,
damn!
or
Damn it!
very similar to the predicament of a tiger stuck in a zoo.
If you cannot understand what it's like to be a tiger in a zoo, I don't know how you ever gonna understand what it's like to be a nigger in America.
I believe that in order to break out of this metaphorical zoo that you're in and to successfully escape back into the jungle where you can live life on your own terms, you must first develop three important characteristics. Firstly, you must become tireless. Secondly, you must become deft. And third, you must develop a great deal of finesse. In other words, you need to be on some TDF shit. Now, with that being said, the title of today's episode is the number one quality all young so-called black men must have in the workplace.
Now, let's get to work.
On some TDF shit.
It's to die for.
Turn that fucking music down.
Now, one thing young brothers have to understand is that when you're in the workplace,
The shit's chess, it ain't checkers.
also, the so-called black man is largely perceived as emotionally unstable. This is not only due to society's depiction of us, but also the reality that most of us have grown up in single mother households with no real experience with masculine, authoritative figures within our own communities. Therefore, we are perceived to have a severe lack of leadership skills and abilities, not just for others, but for ourselves as well. The assumption about us is that the majority of us cannot even manage our own emotions. Therefore, oftentimes an enemy in the workplace, in an attempt to move you off the chessboard, will always try to do so by trying to emotionally manipulate you through petty, feminine provocations. Oftentimes, they will then try to play off their passive-aggressive tactics with friendliness, like, but if you pay close attention, you'll notice that they always have a tendency to say and do certain things that are really designed to trigger a negative emotional reaction out of you. Their strategy is that when you finally do give them the negative emotional reaction they so desperately want, they can then use it as a means to checkmate your black ass and have your walking papers given to you and your black ass shown the door, while they sit in the background watching everything go down like,
Good riddance.
Or at the very least, they want a lot of write-ups put on your file so that if you get enough of those write-ups, your black ass will be grabbed and thrown out the door like that purple dog. Therefore, it is important you learn to utilize this number one quality in the workplace. And that quality is patience. Exercising a great deal of patience when faced with these situations is a must. But of course, this is easier said than done. Anytime you're in a situation where you have multiple individuals working against you, as a so-called black man, it's easy to become consumed with the idea of
breaking crackers' legs and backs.
but you must catch yourself before you catch a case. Learn to embrace the situation as a chess game. Your goal is to checkmate any and all opposition. In other words, you got to be ready to checkmate
Him,
as opposed to catching
bodies.
Now, the first step towards doing so is exercising patience. So why is that? Well, first of all, an intelligent, patient, so-called black man might as well be a unicorn in this society. People in general are not used to these particular types of so-called black men. Brothers who have complete mastery and dominance over themselves and their own emotions, and refuse to allow themselves to be puppeted by some
No good cracker.
Since society at large refuses to acknowledge that these brothers even exist, no real playbook has ever been created on how to deal with them. So the game is pretty much set to easy mode for these brothers. But let's go further. Here are 4 reasons why patience is so critical for so-called black men in the workplace. Number 1, patience forces the opposition to have to sit tight and wait. It forces them to go from offense to defense just like that. Like I said earlier, most people in general have no real playbook for waging psychological warfare against a patient, intelligent, so-called black man.
Oh, fantastic, brilliant, great.
This is because you are essentially going against the very fabric of their reality and understanding regarding so-called black men. In their world, a quote-unquote black guy is supposed to think, move, and react a very specific way to their nonsense. And when he does, he gets checkmated.
Immediately.
But when you refuse to immediately react and instead exercise patience, you are literally prolonging the game for as long as you see fit.
Let's do that again.
They now have no choice but to sit tight and wait for you to make a mistake. But the problem is, you're too deft to make a mistake. So it goes from them trying to push you out to them waiting for you to leave the situation willfully. And you will not leave until you are done using the situation for whatever it's worth to you on some TDF shit.
It's to die for.
The second reason why patience in the workplace is critical is because exercising patience allows you to develop the best plan of attack because you're not blindly under the influence of your own emotions, no matter how strong they are. While the opposition is stressing themselves like,
Gee whiz! Gee whiz! Gee whiz, golly gee!
trying to figure out why you haven't reacted the way they anticipated and what their next move should be. You now have an opportunity to figure out just how you want to go about checkmating this
Cracker!
The third reason why patience is so critical is because patience will always tire out the opposition. Word to Gary Payton.
Just tire him out. Tire the fuck out of him. You just gotta tire him out.
You can literally decide to do
Absolutely nothing.
and leave your opposition in an endless purgatory of waiting for you to make a move, or you can frustrate your opponent further by embracing them and using them for whatever you deem their value to be. on some TDF shit before finally checkmating their ass. And now the fourth reason patience in the workplace is so critical for the so-called black man is because patience will almost always result in your opposition becoming emotionally unstable themselves. This will be due to their frustration with you for not being a simple-minded, predictable ass
Nigga!
Their frustration and emotional instability will now result in them making more and more mistakes, thus becoming
food. Glorious food.
For you and your inner apex predator, which is a beautiful thing. So in conclusion, utilizing patience is incredibly important for 4 primary reasons. 1, it throws the opposition off their game. You'll have them wondering, what kind of nigga is this? Number 2, it allows you more time to come up with a solid strategy to checkmate the opposition. Number 3, it will always frustrate or tire out the opposition. And number 4, the opposition will become emotionally manipulated by you as opposed to the other way around. In other words, patience is definitely a part of being able to peep the game and finesse accordingly. Shout out to all the brothers that are going to hit that subscribe button, like the video, leave a comment, and share the video. And to the rest of you knuckleheads that refuse to do all that, please
Shut up, don't say nothing, don't speak to me, don't look at me.